What is up, guys? Orbital-Pilot back here once again in the world of Warthunder. This time we're taking the sky in the P51. Now this is the early variant. This is actually, I believe, the first one you can unlock in the American lineup. And it's a little bit different, to say the least. Now, the first thing that you're immediately going to notice is, of course, the four 20mm Hispano cannons that actually come from the British lineup. What's interesting about this plane is that it actually existed in the British lineup long before it actually existed in the American lineup. It was a British premium, and it was fairly popular. Now, I came into this gameplay expecting very, very little, and I'm glad I did, because it's kind of what I got. This is one of the planes that is kind of bad in performance, but I kind of took that away and realized that I probably shouldn't be comparing it to what I know, because in my mind I'm probably comparing it to something like later tier 4 props like the F8F and the late P51s, maybe a late Dora Focke-Wulf. And so I kind of had to take that away and only compare it to early tier 3, late tier 2 stuff. And I'm kind of glad I did, because it actually turned out to be a fairly decent plane. Now, let's just start off with the basics, of course. Engine performance is lacking in the climb. As you can see, I've been flying for about 6 minutes, have barely made it to 3,500 meters. In a straight line, this plane caps out around somewhere above 300 miles an hour, depending on what altitude you're at. And the only massive benefit about this engine is that it does not overheat. And when it does, turn it back to, a 0% for a second, you'll be fine. You can WEP all day long, it seems. So that is one nice thing that I noticed. Now the next thing, I kind of want to get into this stuff before the actual combat starts, because it is interesting what I was able to do with this plane. Turning rate is pretty abysmal. The elevator is fine, don't get me wrong. It's plenty strong, but it's a P51. I mean, what do you expect? It does not turn very well. At higher speeds, of course, it is better, but once you drop to that below 200 mile an hour mark, it kind of becomes a brick. So this is not a plane you want to be turn fighting with. This is more of an energy fighter, more of a boom and zoomer. So that's what I would use it as. Now, if you've ever flown a later P51 like the D30 and stuff like that, just remember that this is basically a less powerful, except for maybe the guns. I'll take the guns over the 50 cals. This is a less well-performed P51. And that's to be expected, especially early on in the tech tree, because you can get this plane fairly early in, I believe, this is tier 2, late tier 2. And it performs against stuff like the Yak 9. The LA5, you're going to see some Spitfire Mark II Bs, some earlier Spitfires. You're going to, of course, see Yak 9Ts, because every Russian player loves those. You're not going to see a lot of bombers, it seems, which was a massive break for me. Thank you. I was so tired of fighting bombers. However, if you can get to the bomber's altitude, this is not a bad plane to go at them with. But more on guns in a minute. I did want to talk about the elevator, the aileron. They're okay. They're fairly strong. Nothing insane. Like I said, though, this plane is stock, so maybe I'll get back with you guys once it's fully spaded. If I do decide to go ahead and spade it. It's not really my cup of tea for a plane, but I would like you to keep in mind that this is my first match ever with this plane. I had it unlocked. I just had it sitting there, though, because I had already researched, of course, all the planes in front of it, so I just never cared to take it out. But it is a plane I see fairly often when I fly lower tier Germans, lower tier Russians, so I thought I would give it a try. And that's what was crazy about this. Now, of course, I am a fairly experienced pilot. I've been playing this game for quite a long time, but this was my first game. I was not expecting to do this well. Now, head on with the Yak 9T. That's not super dangerous. That's something I would actually recommend in this plane. Of course, if he does hit you with a 37mm, you're not going to be toast for some weird reason. I think this guy was probably using stock belts, and he did bounce a couple of shots on me, luckily enough for me. However, you do have 420mm Hispanos, and although I want to talk about the guns a little bit more here in a minute, you can obviously see that you have the clear advantage in a head-on, so not the worst idea in this plane. Now, dropping down, I am going to dive fairly quickly. I'm trying to stay above that 400 mile an hour mark, right where the Yak-9T is not going to be super comfortable to go. And this is where the game started to fall apart. There's 4 Russians down there, 1 is on my tail, there's 1 more up above me, and another one to the left of me. There's 1 teammate, and he's in a P51, a heavy fighter. And so I take a very nice shot at a P63. Sadly enough, these are stock belts, and that's my major complaint with this plane. Now, I haven't flown a stock Hispano, especially a Mark II Hispano plane, in a very, very long time. I'm not sure if this is normal, but my shooting was not terrible in this game. My shooting was fairly spot on, but my bullets were just not doing anything. I was shooting them with marshmallows, I'm pretty sure. But this is where I was fairly shocked. Yak-9T I had previously believed would have kept up with me in this climb. Now, I do level out at about 2,500 meters, put it in probably a 1 or 2 degree climb, and just book it out. Now, this plane is not very fast, and that's to be expected from this tier of plane, but I am able to not only keep distance, but actually outrun the Yak-9T. Now, I know it's not a very fast plane, but, you know, it was impressive to me because we all know how Yaks sometimes seem to do the impossible. Now, right there, I'm not sure if that was actually a 37mm shell. I hope it wasn't, because if so, I feel really bad for that guy. I'm hoping it was one of his 50 cals, or maybe a couple of them. But if that's the 37, we have major issues, guys, because that should have blown me out of the sky. Now, inverting roll over. Actually, if you're ever running away from someone like this, don't pull vertical, don't pull full horizontal, go into a dive, and then turn over. That's going to make it not super difficult, but it's going to make it far more difficult for the Yak to hit you. Now right here, because he is using, I believe, either tracer belts or stock belts, I can see his bullets coming. So I'm simply looking behind me, and every single time I see one of those white things flying, I either go up or down with the elevator, and that's actually keeping me at a fairly safe distance. Now, previously there had been 6 Russians still alive, all down here, and for some weird reason, a P47, a P51, and a Spitfire actually did a ton of work while I was being chased down, and killed all but 2 of these guys. Now, P47 seems to have run in to the Yak. Somehow the Yak is not only still flying, but is very, very flight capable. I don't know quite how that happened. The P47 should have won in the ram. So, you know. Now take some shots. I'm not going to lie, those shots were not too good. Not too proud of those. But once again, another spark. So we're going to count the sparks here. That's 2, and we're just going to go on the judgment that each one of those was 1 bullet, even though it was probably more than 1 bullet that hit him. We're just going to go with 1 just to be safe. So 2 sparks on this Yak 9 already. Still flying fine. He ran into a P47. Somehow, I am still not dead. I don't know how. I should have been dead a very, very long time ago. And if I ever see you guys doing this in a P51, I'm going to be a little sad. I should not have been doing this here. This was a dumb idea, but I was quite desperate to actually kill this guy. I know that a couple of my teammates are around. I'm not in a massive amount of danger, but this is still the incorrect way to fly P51. I am aware of that. Please, you do not have to tell me that. This should be energy fighting. This is more of a dogfight right here. So that is my 4th spark on the Yak-9T. I'm not sure what this guy is made out of. I'm not sure what I'm shooting out of my guns either. I'm being extremely careful because although you do get quite a bit of ammo, 420mm will eat it. Now that's my 6th spark. That's my 7th. Not all the bullets are hitting him, but a lot of them are. That's a 7th spark. Let's see. Are we coming up for 8? Okay, so it took 8 shots in total to kill a Yak-9T. Finally, when the bullets did converge, or when they actually did do their job, they seemed to do their job quite well. And that's probably going to become better. I recommend stealth belts for this plane, just because stealth or air target is probably the best in most Hispanos. So yeah, early P51, I thought I was going to have more negative things to say, and although it kind of sounded like I did with the less than average engine performance in my opinion, I was able to outrun most things, including the LA5 and the Yak 9T, so there's not a lot I can say. It doesn't climb very fast, doesn't turn exceptionally well, it's just your average plane, nothing too bad, nothing too great. So, I mean, I guess that's kind of what your P51 is. Once you do get the cannon upgrades, it should become a lot better, but until then, all I can say is have fun with those stock Hispanos. They do not seem to want to kill anything. But, you know, maybe that will change. Of course, this is subject to change. Maybe this is your favorite plane. Of course, go out and form your own opinion about this plane. And the guns, of course, are subject to change too. Next patch, they could be far stronger stock, or they could be far weaker. So guys, let me know what you guys think of this plane down below. Do you like the P51s? Do you like the late P51s? What do you think of this Hispano P51? Personally, it's not my favorite plane, but it's not exceptionally bad either. So guys, thank you for watching. If you want to, hit that like and subscribe button. You guys know it helps me out a ton, and I will see you guys next time.